كما هو أهله والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين شفيع المسلمين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وجل وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما إمام الأسر الحجة الحسن المهدي صلوات الله وسلامه عليهم أجمعين ولعنة الله على أعداء أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وجل قال سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن المجيد وقوله الحق قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وجل Salamun alaikum. Please recite a loud salawat for the appearance of our Imam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajal. Please recite another salawat so we be among the companion of Imam Zamana. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajal farajum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our ibadats, our efforts which we're doing for the Muharram and for Safar and all year, and Imam Zamana become happy with us with all these efforts. Please recite the salawat. Humma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajjal farajum. We don't see God in our life, but when we are faced by the challenges, we are faced by difficult circumstances, when the troubles come in our life, when there are bottlenecks, then we start to remember God. If all the blessings are there, everything is running normal, we don't remember God. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put these challenges and put these bottlenecks and put these difficult circumstances so to see who stand for the truth, who has a trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and who has on the means which he see in front, and there's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who control all these means. Who have a trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has a control of all these means. So the people who only trust on the means which they can see, all the resources which they see, when they're all planning and their all resources failed, they get depressed. But the people who believe that everything is in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they see that their plannings are failed, and when they see all the means and resources are not the way they like, they don't get depressed because they have tawakul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's a hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajal. Wala yudabbir Allahu abdi li nafsihi tadbira. The believer who has trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he tries his best. He tries to achieve his objectives, plan everything, but the final results he leave on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he believes that the God who runs this universe has a control on everything. And the God who has a control of everything loves him. There are 1,000 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Dua Joshin Kabir. And 2 names are Ya Shafiq or Ya Rafiq. Oh Rafiq and Oh Shafiq. Oh compassionate and oh my friend. Oh who has a deep love for me. Who is always with me. Who is my companion. So these are 2 attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Joshin Kabir. So the person who believes that the world is run by a God who loves me and who has a deep respect for me, and he is in control, nothing out of his control. So when he is in trouble, he knows that Allah knows everything what's going on. So he is not stressed out. And that's why we see Hazrat Zainab alayhi salam say, وَمَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. In spite of all these difficulties, facing with all these challenges, she is satisfied. And I don't see anything but beauty, because she knows that God is in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who Shafiq or Rafiq. Please recite a salawat. Humma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. And the orphas and the mystics, they say that this love is ingrained in our soul. We find this love when in our mothers. Nobody taught a child that he need to love the mother, or nobody need to tell or need to teach the mother how to love the kid. But the child knows that the mother is always there. He feels complete peace and tranquility. And he knows if I make any mistake, the mother is going to save. He knows there is a security behind me. He knows that she's always there for me. As this is mystics say, or Orphas say, this is the same feeling which the believers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have when they see that there are no means in front of them which can take them out of the challenges. And there is one riwayat from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Where the Prophet said that I know one ayat in the Quran. If the people act on this ayat, that will be enough for them, for their life. They will have a peace and tranquility and success in this world and the hereafter. One ayat only. Inni li'alimu ayatin lo akhaza bihin nas la kaffatun. I know ayat in the Quran. If the people know this ayat and act on this, that will be enough for them. La kaffatun. And this ayat is man yattaqullah yaj'al Allahu makhraja. Whoever is afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has wary of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whoever takes the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala significant in their life, when they are in trouble, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take them out, save them from the troubles, save them from difficult times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be there for them to help. مَن يَتَّقُ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ مَخْرَجًا. And say, فَمَا زَالَ يَقُولُهَا يَعُودُهَا. And the Prophet repeated this ayat again and again. قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدْرًا. And everything is in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this ayat keep on going and saying, وَيُرْزِقُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And whoever have tawakul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He give him a risk and sustenance from the way he cannot imagine, from the ways he could not imagine that I will be saved from this way. Man yattawakkal Allah huwa hasbuh. Whoever tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for him. Lo makhrijaha fama zala yaquluha. Inna Allah balighu amrihi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala issues His commands. And qad ja'ala Allahu likulli shay'in qadra. Everything in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing is outside of His control. And when the person believes that the creator of the universe is in control of everything, then he's not getting stressed. He's not getting stressed because he knows that Allah is behind me and He will not lead me away. But important thing is taking consideration when we making decisions in our life, taking consideration that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. And make our decision based on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want. Based on the teachings of Quran, based on the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. And based on this, having a husn zan towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Having a good perception towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The most important step, the foundation of tawakkul. What are the foundation of tawakkul? What are the roots of tawakkul? What the person should be thinking when he's doing tawakkul? It's not that when you're in trouble, you say, oh, I do a tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because there's nothing to do. This is not tawakkul. Tawakkul is that you do your job and you are wary of commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then when the troubles come, you have a complete confidence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have a husn zan and good perception with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there is a hadith from Imam Raza salamullah alayhi, salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ahsanu zanna billah fa inna Allah azza wa jal yaqul Ana inda zanni abdi bil mu'min bi. I am near the perception of my mu'min. In khayra fa khayra, in sharra fa khayra, in sharra fa sharra. I am near the perception of my mu'min, my believer. If he has a good perception of me, I will do good with him. If he has a bad perception of me, I will do bad with him. And there's a very significant hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa alayhi. We say, "Wallazi la ilaha illahu ma ata mu'minin qattun khayri dunya wal akhirah illa bihusni zanni billah." Prophet say, "By swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I don't give anything good of this world and the akhirah except by having a husn zan towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Having good perception of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Having that He has an unconditional love for me and He loves me more than the mother. Who gives this love of mother to us? It's natural. It's ingrained in us. It's ingrained in the mothers. So who give this love? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves more than the mothers. This is in the riwayats. He's Arhamur Rahimin. Means He's there to us all the time. And He'll not leave us anywhere alone. They wanted to expel Abu Zar, as you know. Abu Zar used to go in the streets of Medina. And he used to recite the riwayats and traditions of Imam Ali alayhi salam to prove the wilayat and the guardianship of Imam Ali in the street of Medina. And the rulers didn't like it. So they want to expel Abu Zar from Medina. So he can stop his message. So they want to expel him. And they say nobody come to say farewell to Abu Zar when he leaves the city. But Imam Ali alayhi salam came to say the farewell. Imam Hassan Hussein came. And the Marwan came. Say, why you came? The Imam Ali hit him with a strap. And he went away. They asked Abu Zar that you are going in a place which is completely dry. You're going in a place where there's no rain. Rabza. They were going to send Abu Zar. Abu Zar say that if they send me a place where there is no rain, water, where the land is completely dry, but I know how to do the tawakul. I have a tawakul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He is there for my sustenance and He will not leave me alone in any circumstances. So this is a tawakul which Abu Zar learned from Imam Ali alayhi salam, from Ahlul Bayt. Facing most difficult circumstances, he never felt alone. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, come to the home of Hazrat Fatima salamullah alaiha, and he saw that Hazrat Fatima alayhi salam was working so hard and feeding the babies and doing house chores. And she's in big trouble. The Prophet started to cry. But Hazrat Fatima salamullah alayha said, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah, for the blessings which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given us. And if He didn't give any blessings to us, it's the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please recite the salawat. But we see we have a wrong meanings of tawakkul in our society. Because when they want to get married, a girl or boy, first thing they do istikhara. Instead of doing research whether what the boy's family is, what the boy attributes are, what the boy qualities are, whether the boy can sustain the pressure of the family, whether he can manage the family, what are the values of the boys, what his belief system is, what his background is, what his friends are. Instead of doing all the research, they just do the istikhara. And They do istikhara, and when the istikhara comes good, they are ready to get the boy and the girl married. And when the results come the opposite, they start to complain. They're saying, Maulana, we did the istikhara with you, and now there is a problem in the family. And they're fighting. Because you haven't done your job. The condition of tawakul is that you do your job, right? And you do your research, and in the last, if you don't understand anything, then again for istikhara. But the people do first istikhara. And when they do first istikhara, they make up their mind. Istikhara is good, so we need to do something. Make something, change our thoughts, do less research to do this. One of the Prophet gets sick. This incident is being mentioned in a book by Mullah Naraki in Mirajus Sa'ada. He say one of the Prophet gets sick, and this Prophet was not getting well for a long time. And he say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why not you give me health? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that I will not give you health unless you take the medicine which I prescribe for this disease, for this problem. I will not make you well. I have made a system. I have made the cure for the diseases. There are herbs, there are medicine. You have to go through it. And then pray towards me. Then I will accept your du'as. Then your efforts are accepted. So you have to do your job first. You have to work hard and achieve yourself. And then if you see after all your efforts, the consequences is not coming, then you know the final control is in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please write salawat. So some of the people came to Allama Tabatabai. Allama Tabatabai is our great scholar who written a tafsir known as Tafsirul Mizan. And this is the most comprehensive tafsir in the Islamic world. This tafsir, first of all, do the tafsir of ayat of the Quran with the ayat of the Quran. Then the ayat of Quran with ahadith and riwayats. And then it do intellectual tafsir. Then it do philosophical tafsir. Then it do historical tafsir. So it's a great detail if you want to see everything. So he was a great scholar, and some people came to meet him, say that we are going to Makkah and Medina, what should we do? He say, Faskuruni uskurkum. You remember God wherever you go. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be with you. They shown a small insect to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was going past through a place, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, hit the staff on a stone. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam hit the stone. And there was an insect in that stone. And that insect was saying this, Subhana man yarani. I praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Man yurani, who sees me behind the stone. Wa tasma kalami, and listen me. Yarif makani, and knows my place. Wa yuskurni wala yansani, and he never forget. He give me sustenance. It's at this place in the middle of the stone. So why he can leave a moment without sustenance? We see there are so many creatures on earth. We see there are so many fish on earth. We see there's so many birds on earth. Are they planning? Or they have a long planning to get their food? Their sustenance, are they planning? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them food, give them sustenance, give them life. So the moment who believe that this universe is run by the same Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who gives sustenance to everyone, he will not get depressed. He will always have a hope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please recite salawat. Prophet say, if somebody give the haram for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the reward in this world. You don't need to wait the akhirah. I know a person who lost his job and he came to a Maulana. He say, I have a job when the halal and haram are mixed up and they cannot be separated. So what should I do? He say, if they cannot be separated, halal and halal mixed, so you should leave the job. You know how difficult it is to find a job in the West? But this person left the job. He left the job, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the job with the halal risk. The thing is, having tawakul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thing is that we believe that Shafiq or Rafiq is running this world. Kind Allah is running this world and He is in control. Once there was a fighting between two armies and the Prophet was in one of the army. And the Prophet was in one of the army, and after the fight, the Prophet went away and slept under a tree. He slept under the tree, and the enemy, one of the enemy soldiers, he saw the Prophet is sleeping, and he came from behind, a long way from behind the army. He came in on the head of the Prophet and said that, Man yunjika minni, who's going to save you from me now? The Prophet say, with the confidence, with the tawakul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah. And his foot slipped and he fell down. And the Prophet picked up the sword and say, who's going to save you from me? Man yunjika minni. He said, La ahad. And the Prophet said, okay, I forgive you, go. This person didn't convert at that time to Islam. But later on, he used to say that I am forgiven by a person who is a forgiver, a person who is kareem, a person who is so much kind. He converted later on. This shows the thinking about the life, thinking about the incidents, changes the person. Please say salawat. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. There is the seventh supplication of Sahifa Sajjadiyah, that all these resources we have, all these things which have, they become effective because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make them effective. If the water quench our thirst, it's because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow the water to quench the thirst. If the sword cuts, because this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want. And they say, تُسَبَّبَتْ بِلُطْفِكَ الْأَسْبَابِ. It is because of you the things become effective. And we see this example of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. When he was thrown into the fire, the angels came, Mikael came, Jibrail came. They came, they say, we can save you from this. He say, no, I have a trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is in control of the universe. So he fell in the middle of the fire and the fire became a garden. It didn't burn. They have trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you heard this story, and this story is in the Quran too. Story of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam took the Bani Israel with him. And the Bani Israel, there were old people in it, there were children in it, so they were going slow and slow. And in the morning, when the Pharaoh realized that Bani Israel is not there, he took all his army and started to run towards them. When they reach as a place where there was a river Nile in front of them and the army of Pharaoh was in the back. And when this happened, Bani Israel say that because of you, we are stuck now. The Nile river is in the front and Pharaoh army is coming at the back. We are stuck. There is no way out. Because of you, you are stuck. فَلَمَّا تَرَى الْجَمْعَانِ قَالَ أَصْحَابُ مُوسَى إِنِّي لَمُدْرِكُونَ. We stuck. The mudrikun, we are stuck. What can we do now? In front, there's a Nile River, and at the back, Fir'aun Azmi, and he's going to kill all of us. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam said, no. Qalla, never. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never leave us alone. And Hazrat Musa didn't know what will happen next. This is in the riwayat. He didn't know that the Nile River will open up. He didn't know. If he know, that's not something special. He didn't know. He has trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows Allah ta'ala is in control. قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدْرًا. Everything is in control. And he said, Kalla, inni ma'iya rabbi sayahdin. The God is with me and He will guide us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hit the staff to the water, and hit the staff, and the river open up and see the things that everything is in the hand of control of Allah. See this. When Hazrat Musa alayhi salam crossed the river, at this moment when he crossed the river, the Fir'aun army was in the middle of the river. See the timing? Right in the middle of the river, and Hazrat Musa alayhi salam didn't turn back to close the river. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala closed the river, and all of them were drawn. Tawakul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is how the prophets used to have tawakul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please recite salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We see suicide. We see people get depressed. We see people lose hope. Why they lose hope? Because when they see all their planning is failing, when they see all their resources are going away, when they see they have no means of physical means, the material which can come in your mind, when they see this, they say, okay, there's no hope. Because they don't see the hands behind. They don't believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we see the people who believe on Allah, they are less stressed. We see the countries which have no belief on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's more suicide, there's more depression. And they renamed this suicide, it's called MAID, medically assisted death. This is what it is. So this is happening because why? Because they don't believe in Allah. Not believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring despair in a person, sadness in a person. These material means have a limit. Maybe a person is lucky, but sometimes there's no person in the world who is not faced with the troubles and bottlenecks. So these things come. If the person have a trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he still keep on going with the same strength. And the person who doesn't have the belief, he get depressed and he get lost. See our Ahlul Bayt, Imam Hussain alayhi salam, in these hard, difficult circumstances, he say, Razan bi qazai wa taslim amre. In so difficult circumstances. And Hazrat Zainab alayhi salam say, accept our sacrifice, O Allah, in all these difficult circumstances. You see our leaders like Ayatul Khamenei, you see the leader like Ayatul Sistani. They are faced with very difficult circumstances, more than us, right? But we see they always have a brightness on their face. They always have a confidence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are not stressed. They come and do a beautiful speech with complete confidence in spite of all these challenges and difficulties. Why? Why? Because they know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control. قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لَكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدْرًا مَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. He knows. They know this. So the people who don't believe on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they get depressed. Because they don't believe on the promises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, I will take you out of the trouble, they don't believe this. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, if you do tawakkul, I am enough, he don't believe this. So this is the red line. This is red line Islam. When you do tawakkul, you have to have a total belief on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ayah of the Quran say, إِنَّهُ لَا يَبَعِثُ مِنْ رُوحِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ. Nobody become disappear. Nobody gets sad except the Qawm al-Kafirin. Qawm al-Kafirin become depressed because they think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left them alone. Even they believe in God, they say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm not important for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People get disease. They say, see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did with me. People get a little financial trouble. They say, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did with me. Maybe there's some wisdom behind it. Maybe there's something good for you. Maybe you get improvement after this. Maybe there is a test for you. Maybe there is atonement of sins for you. Maybe there is a wisdom for you. See the prophets, see the Ahlul Bayt, see the Imams, how much difficulties they face. Should we complain when we face with the difficulties? And this is one of the ayah which is Surah Fath, ayah 6. This is the ayah which the Rahbar or martyr leader, Ayatul Khamenei, used to repeat many times. And he used to say, we are not like this. We are not like this. We are not these people who believe this. And this ayah, if you have a suizan towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you have a bad perception towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will get punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will get a bad treatment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this ayah say, Surah Fath, ayah 6, يُعَذِّبُ الْمُنَافِقِينَ وَالْمُنَافِقَاتِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ وَالْمُشْرِكَاتِ ظَانِّينَ بِاللَّهِ ظَنَّ السُّوءِ ظَانِّينَ بِاللَّهِ ظَنَّ السُّوءِ. They have bad perception of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have suizan towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. عَلَيْهِمْ دَائِرَةُ السُّوءِ. This is a very bad thing which to do. غَضَبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَعْنَهُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put a ghazab on them, a punishment on them, and do lawn on them, curse on them. أَعْدَى لَهُمْ جَهَنَّمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepared a hell for them. وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. And this is a very bad place to be. So it's not only that you should need to have a good perception of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you need to avoid at any cost the bad perception of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Having a bad perception. This is the whisperings of shaitan. This is shaitan want to trick you. Allah left you alone. Allah will never leave you alone. He never leave anybody alone. Please recite salawat. Humma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajjil faraj. And this is the basic principle of life, which the riwayat I'm going to recite before you. The Prophet say, Husn zanni billah. Have a husn zan toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have a good perception toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna la tarju illallah. Don't have any hope except from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't know that my friend is going to save me. My children are going to save me. My money is going to save me. My job is going to... Don't have any hope from anybody. Except have hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And la takhafu illa zambika. And only have fear from your sins. From sins that you do when you go against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only have fears from this. Otherwise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never leave you alone. And this concept, Ya Shafiq or Ya Rafiq, is running this world. And He's in control of everything. And He will never leave us alone. And in our life, we see the practical examples where we don't do the tawakul. One of the examples is this. Why there fight between family members? They say, oh, I did this person this good and he is not returning me. Because you haven't done good for the sake of Allah. If the people do good deeds for the sake of Allah, say, I'm doing this for the sake of Allah and Allah give me the reward for this. Allah will give you reward. If you do help somebody, you say, Allah will give me reward. Allah will give you reward. But you see, I am doing this good thing for the sake for this person, he will leave you alone. And there will be fight, and there will be problem in the families, and there will always conflicts in the families. If we do everything for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the things get better. The fights in the family will be over. Another thing, we have to test the promises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our life to see whether I did tawakkul, whether does it work or no. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, give sadaqah. I will make it 700 times. In one ayat says 700 times, it says 7 times. It says, I will take the diseases out, I will take the calamities out, I will take the difficult times out. Just give sadaqah and see, does it work? Is my family changed? Is the things improved for me? Give homes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's way. And see, does things happen? You know, so many people give homes in Shia community. All the centers are made by homes. Why the home? They give homes, you know, because they see the barakats every year. They see the money coming back. They see the calamities and difficulties going back. They see the peace and tranquility in their life after giving homes and sadaqat. After spending on the way of Imam Hussein, they feel things changes. And we need to do something to feel it. It's not just intellectual discussion and the beautiful arguments and riwayats. We need to do something. We need to do sila raham. Be good with the parents and see, is there any good things that are happening in my life because I was good with my parents? If the good luck is coming in my life, you will see it comes. You see good with your brother, sila rahmi we do. You will see good things come. So we need to test the promises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our life if we want to have a strong tawakul. If you do good deed, if you do spend money in the way of God and next year you see, oh, it's increased, then your confidence and tawakul will increase. Next year more, next year more. This is how you get step and step and step, up and up and up. This is how the scholars, this is how the believers move at the higher stages. This is how the scholars do. There are stages and this is how they do. That they test the promises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their life. They check it. And when they see beautiful results, so they get stronger, the faith gets stronger. Please recite salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajil. ہم حسین اور علی سارے سال کرتے ہیں، سارے محرم میں کرتے ہیں، سفر میں کرتے ہیں. یہ حسین کون تھے؟ یہ حسین کون تھے جن کا ذکر ہوتا ہے؟ یہ حسین وہ تھے جب پیغمبر سجدے میں ہوتے تھے تو سجدے سے اٹھتے نہیں تھے. جب حسین ان کے اوپر سوار ہوتے تھے تو سجدہ کو طویل کر دیا کرتے تھے. یہ حسین تھے. یہ حسین وہ ہیں جو جوانان جنت کے سردار ہیں. یہ حسین وہ ہیں کہ جب پیغمبر منبر رسول پہ ہوتے تھے تو نیچے اتر کے حسین کا استقبال کرتے تھے. یہ وہ حسین ہیں. یہ حسین کے فضائل امام کیوں بیان کر رہے ہیں؟ یہ حسین کے فضائل اس لیے بیان کر رہے ہیں کہ حسین کو پہچانو. عارف الحسین، حسین کو پہچانو. یہ کون ہے حسین؟ اس لیے تو بیان نہیں کیے تھے یہ فضائل کہ حسین کو بھوکا اور پیاسا اس کی بچوں سمیت شہید کر دیا جائے گا. اس لیے تو یہ فضائل نہیں بیان کیے تھے کہ امام حسین کے سر کو کاٹا جائے گا اور کاٹنے کے بعد ان کی لاش کو جدا کیا جائے گا اور جدا کرنے کے بعد صرف حسین کی لاش پہ گھوڑے دوڑائے جائیں گے. اس لیے تو بیان نہیں کیا تھا کہ حسین کی لاش پہ گھوڑے دوڑائے جائیں گے. اس لیے تو بیان نہیں کیا تھا کہ ان کے 6 ماہ بچے کو ان کے ہاتھوں میں شہید کر دیا جائے گا. بہت سخت تھا حسین کے لیے شہادتیں. 4 شہادتیں بہت سخت تھیں. حضرت عباس کی شہادت، قاسم کی شہادت، علی اکبر کی شہادت. لیکن ایک شہادت اس سب سے زیادہ سخت تھی کہ حسین 7 بار آگے آئے ہیں اور 7 بار پیچھے آئے ہیں. یہ چھوٹا سا ایک بچہ ہے جو حسین سے اٹھایا نہیں جاتا. اجرکم اللہ، اجرکم اللہ. یہ چھوٹا سا بچہ ہے جو حسین سے اٹھایا نہیں جاتا. اس لیے تو فضائل حسین کے بیان نہیں کیے تھے. حسین کی ایک بچی بھی ہے جس کا نام سکینہ ہے. بعض روایتوں میں ہے اس کی عمر 3 سال، 3.5 سال اور 4 سال ہے. ابن جوزی نے اپنی کتاب سلطان الواعظین میں یہ لکھا ہے کہ جب بیبیوں کو شام کی طرف لے جایا گیا تو ان کو شام کے شہر کے باہر کہا گیا کہ یہاں ان کو 9 گھنٹے باہر بٹھائے رکھو اور ان کے بھائیوں کے سر ان کے سامنے لے کر آؤ تاکہ ان کو تکلیف ہو. اگر کوئی بیوی گریا کرے تو ان کے منہ پر جو ہے تماچے مارو. اگر کوئی بچی شکایت کرے تو ان کے منہ پر تماچے مارو. اہل بیت کو ایسے زندان میں رکھا گیا جس کے اوپر چھت نہ تھی. دن میں دھوپ پڑتی تھی اور گرم ہو جاتی تھی. رات کو اوس پڑتی تھی اور سردی ہو جاتی تھی. اس حالت میں بھوک و پیاس کے عالم میں بیبیوں کو رکھا گیا. بیبیاں ضعیف ہوتی گئیں اور بچے گریا کرتے رہتے تھے. سکینہ پوچھتی تھی میرے بابا کہاں ہیں؟ آپ ایک 3 سالہ بچے کو کیسے بتا سکتے ہیں کہ آپ کے بابا اس دنیا سے چلے گئے ہیں اور واپس نہیں آئیں گے؟ آپ کیسے بتا سکتے ہیں؟ ایک 3 سالہ بچہ یہ بات نہیں سمجھ سکتا. تو وہ کہتے تھے کہ آپ کے بابا آئیں گے, آپ کے بابا سفر پہ گئے ہوئے ہیں, وہ جلد آئیں گے. وہ سب کے پاس جا کے شکایت کرتی تھی کہ میرے بابا کب آئیں گے؟ تو جب یہ آوازیں یزید کے دربار میں جاتی ہیں تو اس کے آرام میں خلل پیدا ہوتا ہے. وہ سر کو بھیجتا ہے, اوپر کپڑا رکھ کر سر کو بھیجتا ہے کہ اس چھوٹی بچی کو اس کے باپ سے ملوا دو. بی بی اس کے قریب آتی ہیں اور کہتی ہیں میں نے کھانا تو نہیں مانگا تھا. اجرکم اللہ اجرکم اللہ. میں نے کھانا تو نہیں مانگا تھا, میں نے تو اپنے بابا کو مانا تھا, میں نے تو اپنے بابا کو مانگا تھا. جب وہ اس سے کپڑا ہٹایا جاتا ہے تو نیچے امام کا سر ہے, تو وہ بی بی کہتی ہیں کہ بابا یہ آپ کے سر پہ خون کیسا ہے؟ بابا یہ آپ کے چہروں پہ نیزوں کے نشان کیسے ہیں؟ بابا یہ آپ کی گردن کی رگیں کس نے کاٹی ہیں؟ بابا انہوں نے میرے منہ پہ تماچے مارے ہیں بابا. وہ بابا بابا کرتی ہے اور خاموش ہو جاتی ہے بچی. انا للہ و انا الیہ راجعون. یہ کتابوں میں لکھتے ہیں ابن جوزی اس کتاب میں کہ اس بی بی کے جسم پہ اتنا خون تھا کہ ان کا جسم پہ لباس چپکا ہوا تھا, اور جب امام سجاد غسل دینا چاہتے ہیں تو وہ لباس جدا نہیں ہوتا. لباس جدا کرنا چاہتے ہیں اور جدا نہیں ہوتا. اور اس زندان میں ایک غربت میں چھوٹی سی قبر بنائی جاتی ہے اور بی بی کو دفن کیا جاتا ہے. الا لعنت اللہ علی القوم الظالمین سیعلم الذین ای منقلب ینقلبون. ماتم